Right, ji, Assalamu alaikum. Let us continue where we left yesterday. Today, hopefully, we will be able to complete our course. And, we are today continuing with the risk management. We did cover the program risk management planning and program risk identification yesterday. And as we were discussing, this is not much different from what the project risk management is. But naturally, the risks which matter only for the program, they are to be included in the program risk management. Otherwise, the components of the program, that would be the projects themselves, they would be doing their own risk management as well. But naturally, whatever is the policy coming from the organization and naturally from the program would be governing how the risks are to be managed. And moreover, those risks which are mattering at the level of the program, which there need to be a consistent policy about those. These are considered here in the program risk management. So we did identify the program risks in the last lecture. Now we are talking about the analysis. As in project management, we studied there are two types of analysis: quantitative and qualitative analysis. Here we only discuss the general risk analysis, which means all the analysis is included in this one process. We do not have two processes like project management. We only have one process here, and this is called program risk analysis. Risk analysis at program level should integrate relevant program component risks. Why it is saying relevant? Because there could be certain risks of the components which are not concerning the program, which are the risks which are resolved within the project or the component, and they are not impacting the program in a big way. So such risks are not relevant. Those risks which are leaving some impact on the program, or they are impacting other projects or components, that could become a program subject. Managing interdependencies among the component risks and the program provides significant benefits to the program and the projects. So we are more concerned about those risks which are affecting the interdependencies of the components, or which are impacting more than one component simultaneously, or which are impacting the program activities. So those will significantly impact the benefit delivery which we expect from the program. So this risk analysis at program level includes both qualitative and quantitative risk analysis. All the techniques are inclusive in it. They are useful to support program management decision making. This step in the risk management activity produces the best information supporting the contingency reserve and management reserve that should be set aside to deal with risks that actually occur. But here, when we talk about the management reserve and the contingency reserve, that means we are talking at the level of the program. So program contingencies are to be calculated here, they are decided here, and the program management reserve is kept here. So this risk analysis will yield us that kind of result which will benefit us in calculating the contingency reserves and management reserves for the program. The assessment should include cost, schedule, and performance outcomes for the component projects as well as their interdependencies. So as I said, we are concerned about the component risks, but those risks which are impacting the program are other components. And we are also concerned about the interdependencies between various components. Those risks which will impact those interdependencies are also our concern. This is necessary when the project objectives are not based on full cost estimates. Life cycle should include transition to operations, maintenance, and other recurring costs during the utilization of project product and closure activities. So this is not just a matter of a component getting completed. The project or component level risks deal only within the component, but naturally here we are more concerned about how the product of that component ultimately yields the benefit and is transitioned. So our life cycle is bigger than what a project life cycle is, and therefore we are following up on the program of the components even after they have finished. We are more concerned about the risks involved in the sustainment and transition of those components also. And naturally, if there is something coming out of one program, one component and getting into another program, component, that is also our concern. For programs, the life cycle over which risks are managed may include an entire product life cycle or the life cycle of the services group. So we are concerned about the whole product life cycle or the service life cycle of whatever we are dealing with. Impact of negative risks, which we know is threat, and the positive risk, which is the opportunities on the achievement of benefits and delivery of value to organization should be considered at the program level. So our level is now program level, and at program level we want to take care of all those risks which are mattering here, and we want to analyze them thoroughly, qualitatively and quantitatively, as if we can make required decisions for the betterment of the program. One essential difference between programs and projects is the time scale. We understand project level risks should be dealt within a relatively short time frame. Like, projects have shorter durations, and naturally at the end of every phase or project, our risks are dealt with, while program risk may be applicable at a point in the potentially distant future. As we have been quoting a 10-year long program, so the risks are continuous in nature. For the next 10 years, we will be dealing as a routine with all these kinds of risks, and that is not a temporary effort. I mean, that is not something which is going to finish in a short period of time. This is for a long period of time. So this is going to go on. So we have to make program risk management as one of our habits during this 10-year period. Additionally, in long-running programs, it is important to establish a management process that leads to an increase in opportunities over time using common innovative management methods. Now, we do understand that we have to live with this program for the next 10 years. So naturally, you would like your program to turn into an opportunity ultimately, and you must introduce some kind of innovations, some kind of opportunities should be groomed as if project is more, the program becomes more positive in coming days. So we will put in all our effort to make this program successful and full of opportunities. A systematic engagement of project teams and stakeholders and a budget for opportunity development may not only lead to improvement in projects. So once we do that, it is not only the projects which are going to benefit, but also to the addition of new projects or replacement with more effective ones with respect to benefit generation than initially planned when the program was started. We said initially when we created the roadmap, we said we have identified the various projects which are going to be in this program. But the situation is going to change as we move ahead in the program, and there are many components which are deemed not necessary, and there are more opportunistic projects which we may like to add into our program roadmap, and ultimately our whole management plan will keep changing throughout the life of the program, and for longer duration we will keep working towards better opportunities and better benefits. So nothing is cast in stone. This is not like project, even in project we do the progressive elaboration, but here we have a lot of flexibility. As far as the program is concerned, we have a lot of flexibility. We can even change the way we have planned the things initially, and we can come up with new opportunities. We can benefit with new opportunities. We can avoid the negative risks. If I find one of my components is becoming very risky, I mean the negative risks are too much in that, I may decide to close down that component, or do not even like to start that component, and rather I initiate another component which is safer, which is full of opportunities. This program innovation strategy, which is built into the program definition or as a component of the program management plan, should be dimensioned and budgeted to compensate for threats and efficiency losses through the changing environment over time. That is, it becomes more important as the program environment changes at a faster rate and the program runs longer. So, if you are existing in a fast changing environment and you have the whole period of the program to be spanned, during that period you can benefit from program innovation strategies and introduce new, more profitable, more beneficial components, and you can fire those components which you feel they are causing more threat to you. The program management team should not assume the authority and responsibility of the component level management team by managing risks that should be managed at the component level. This I have been telling you from the very beginning, that components have their own risk. They have their own risk management plan. You as a program manager do not need to manage their risks. Do not micromanage them. Do not, interfere into the affairs of your projects or components. Let them do their job. Only be concerned about those risks which matter at program level, which are interconnections between the components, which are those risks which are not, which are impacting the program ultimately, though they might be the project risk, but ultimately they are impacting the program. Yes, you can take them on. Component managers manage project level risks. Yes, if they are escalated to the program level, that is when a project level risk is not manageable by the project manager, or it is larger than life for the project manager, then he will escalate it to the program level, and that is the time when program takes over that risk as a program risk. Project level risk cannot be resolved by the project management team at the component level. That is one condition. Project level risk would be managed more effectively at the program level. That is for the consistency ways. Like I said, if there is a similar kind of risk in more than one component and you want them all to be consistently handled, program can take over that risk and it can provide guideline about that risk to components. Because they affect more than one project or require a higher level of authority to be resolved. So I think these 2 points clearly describe what are the program level risks. Those which are not manageable by the project are those which can be managed more effectively at the program level. See, you must remember these 2 things, because this very clearly says that you as a program manager do not interfere into the business of projects or your components. Let them do their job, do not micromanage them, let them handle their own risk management, and that's how the things should move. Risks are further analyzed at the component level. Now, risks which are the component or the project risk will go through the whole process of risk management at project level or component level to determine if they will have an impact outside of the component. So this analysis is coming out of the component, and component either resolves that risk within itself or it will escalate. If it thinks that this component cannot handle the risk within the component and it has to be escalated, then it is either impacting another component or it is impacting the program, then it would be escalated to the program level. Risks escalated to the program level may be managed at the component level upon analysis by the program management team. So program management can come up with a solution or a response in which the component may have certain work to do about those components at component level, and if a certain level is crossed, that time program would take over, and that it will then be treated as program risk. The program management team assists risk analysis by providing an environment conducive for effective risk management of its components. There are 5 factors which are crucial here. One is availability of information. You see, you should have right information, effective means of storing and retrieving that information on the projects, on the stakeholders, on the environmental characteristics, and any other information. You should have complete information available with you. You should have a mechanism to, maintain that information, disperse that information. So if you do not have information, naturally you cannot analyze the risks properly. Availability of resources, maximizing and coordinating the effective use of resources. The program management team negotiates with the executives who control the funds and other resources such as human resource, infrastructure, information and applications. So all the resources which are required to manage the risks at program level must be made available when required. And program manager and his team will ensure that they communicate with the requisite staff or the executives to ensure that those resources are made available in time. Time and cost, providing a long-term view for effective project scheduling at a macro level and managing reserves to take into account the effects of individual project failures or shortfalls. So this is the reserve of time and cost at the program level which have to be considered. If something goes wrong with a component or a project, how would program compensate for that? So it is a macro level programming. It is not micro level programming. It is macro level programming at program level, which plans in general how the time and cost overruns or underruns would be handled by the program. Quality of information. Ensuring risk analysis is based on reliable, verifiable information. Yes, we did have availability of information. We had a lot of information, but is it from the reliable source? If this information is not reliable, then this is just junk. So naturally, we do not want to stop the availability of information. First of all, when we are collecting the information, we are having the information available, then we are welcoming any information. But now we have to sort it out into quality information and non-quality information. The quality information is going to be very important for us, ensuring additional time and effort is available to validate the quality of data if necessary. So you must ensure that the information available with you can be properly segregated and quality information is picked up. So naturally, picking up the quality information will take some time, and that time and effort must be available with you, and there must be allowance with the program manager to cater for that. Control. Devising mechanism to keep apprised of work that is outside the direct control of project teams to which they are dependent. This may include regular and effective communication by establishing command and control channels between components and with other programs. You see, components will deal with their own control within the component. But what if they are communicating with other components regarding risk or with the program? Naturally, the framework for that is to be provided by program. So program will provide that control and that mechanism which will ensure that information properly flows from component to component or from component to program. Program management team and the risk managers should continually be aware of and manage these 5 factors which we just talked about. The output of this activity includes, meaning risk analysis will ultimately update the risk register, and periodic risk reports showing threats and opportunities to key performance indicator trends will be also output from there. Now once we have done that analysis, naturally we did talk about the qualitative and quantitative thing, but not in that much detail what we do in the project management, but we did say that qualitative and quantitative analysis will be included in the program risk analysis. Now we are talking about program risk response planning. Naturally, we have segregated and sorted all the risks. We have chosen the risks which are the most, um, which are sorted out to be the biggest of the risks. And now we want to create the responses. The program manager identifies risk that can threaten the program existence and develops a mitigation plan. You see, we are at program level, we are more concerned about what can be a challenge to our survival. If the purpose of the program fails, program does not exist any further. Is there any risk which can cause that? So such like risks which are challenging the existence of the program, they are first to be addressed, and we develop mitigation plans for them, such as environmental changes or governmental policies and regulations. So if they could impact the existence of program, maybe the program can be culminated due to that. So we must take measures to mitigate those situations. Program manager may hold contingency reserves as response risk at the program level, which we calculated naturally out of the risk responses. Out of the analysis, we did calculate what the contingencies could be. The program contingency reserve is not a substitute for the component project contingency reserve, which is held at the component level. So we are not challenging the contingency reserve which was kept at the project level or the component level. That is very much there, but at program level, we are keeping an other contingency which is over and above the component contingency reserves. So this is the program contingency reserve. Components of the program risk register that may be updated at this point include the risk owners and assigned responsibilities. So in the risk register, there is a lot of data, and out of that data, a lot many things may be changed at this level. You see, they may be changed or they may be defined. Maybe it was not defined earlier who is the risk owner and who has been assigned various responsibilities. If it was not decided, then it has to be provided here. Or if it was already decided, then if something has changed, the risk owner has changed or his responsibilities have changed, they have to be updated. What is the agreed upon response strategy for specific risk? That has to be updated there. Specific actions to implement the chosen response strategy. So if we select this strategy, like you say, we will mitigate the risk. So if you mitigate the risk, how do you mitigate the risk? What is your strategy? That must be written down into the risk register. Symptoms and warning signs of risk occurrence. We call them the triggers. What are the triggers of the risks you have identified? How would you know? How would you, have an advance notice of any risk about to occur at program level? Budget and schedule activities required to implement the chosen response. You see, there would be certain actions. When you choose a response, there would be certain actions and certain changes to the time and cost of the program. So if we have selected the response, we must bring those changes into our budget and time of all the activities which are relevant. Contingency reserves of time and cost must be designed to provide for stakeholder risk tolerance. We should not go beyond the stakeholder risk tolerance. We did talk about the risk tolerance. We did define it. What is the risk tolerance? We said risk appetite is how much risk you can easily take. Risk tolerance is your limit. You cannot take more than that. So it is the stakeholder how much they can afford to take on. Beyond that, this must be dealt with the contingency reserve. Contingency plans and trigger conditions that call for their execution. So what are, in case of a chosen strategy, what is your contingency plan and how would you know that what is the trigger condition which would tell you that now contingency plan has to be activated? Fallback plans, normally we call them plan B. If this plan fails, you can quickly shift to another plan which is prepared in parallel. So fallback plan for use as a response to a risk that has occurred and the primary response proves to be inadequate. Whatever response you created that is not serving the purpose, then you can shift to the alternate plan or the fallback plan, or you can call it plan B. Residual risks that are expected to remain after planned responses have been taken, as well as those that been deliberately accepted. So if you have chosen the risk response of risk acceptance, then whatever you have accepted is your residual risk. Or if you have chosen any other strategy, maybe you have mitigated the risk and you have reduced it to a level. So whatever remains is the residual risk. So you must be vigilant about the residual risk, and if this residual risk crosses the tolerance level, we have we have mitigated a risk and we have reduced it to the level of tolerance. The residual risk should remain within the stakeholder risk tolerance. If it is beyond the risk tolerance, then risk is not amply responded to. But you see, the tolerance of the stakeholders may change over time. Program is a long undertaking, so it may change along the time, and the risk which we thought has been amply taken care of, the residual risk was within the tolerance, it may not remain within the tolerance over the period of time, and then you may decide to mitigate the residual risk also, respond to the residual risk and further reduce it. Then we have the secondary risks. As you all must understand, secondary risks are those risks which were not visible when you initially identified your risks, and as and when new risk the risks have occurred, new risks have surfaced from behind those risks, which are now available, now visible, and they were not visible earlier. So secondary risks that arise as a direct outcome of implementing a risk response. When you implemented a risk response, then another risk comes out of it. Normally, these secondary risks are smaller than the main risk behind which it was hiding. But again, it is not a rule, because sometimes the secondary risk may be even bigger than that. The risk response planning would give us the output is a definitive risk response plan, in which we have at program level definite responses prepared and put into this plan. Risk register, as we have just seen 2 slides earlier, how and what is to be updated in the risk register. Contingency budgets are established, and if any change request is required, would be taken care of. So then we move on to risk monitoring and control. That is the last process of program risk management. Planned risk responses should be continuously monitored for new and changing risks. So what is the job of risk monitoring and control at program level is to keep your eyes open and keep watching for triggers of various risks you have in the risk response, in the risk register. So you keep your eyes open and keep watching which risks are about to occur. Remember, when a risk do occur, then it does not remain a risk, it becomes an issue. But till the time that risk is likely to occur, that is a risk, and I want to watch, I want to keep an eye on those elements, those environment which can indicate that this risk is now getting near. So these are called triggers, and actually there are 2 terms. One is a trigger and one is a sensor, and one is a trigger. Sensor is how to sense a risk is about to occur, and trigger is the mechanism, the response mechanism, the alarming mechanism, the doorbell mechanism, which lets you know that the sensor has sensed the risk is about to happen. Program risk monitoring and control is the activity of identifying, analyzing and planning for new risks. That is naturally one job it has to do, and this is a continuous work which will keep happening till the end of the project. All the time, risk monitoring and control would be identifying new risks, analyzing them, and creating the responses for them, and tracking the identified risks, the risks which have already been identified, and maybe the responses were created. So it will keep tracking them, sensing them, and initiating the trigger. So this is a watch list we have to watch. And third important job is that all the risks which already have been identified, we will keep reanalyzing them, because we don't know which risks change their shape. Either their probability might change or their impact might change. So whatever happens, we have to keep watch on those risks, as if we can keep the risk register updated all the time. It includes monitoring trigger conditions, contingency plans, residual risks, and evaluating the effectiveness of risk responses. Monitoring reduces the impact of a threat and maximizes the impact of an opportunity by identifying, analyzing, and reporting and managing risks on a continuous basis. You see, we did the risk management because we wanted to be proactive. If we identified the risks and we analyzed them and we created the responses, this does not finish our job. If we do not remain proactive throughout the life of the project, even in monitoring and control of the risk, then we have lost the benefit. So we have to keep your eyes open, and we have to keep re-evaluating, keep identifying new things. So this, if we keep doing, reduces the impact of the threat, and it improves or increases the opportunities. So we can benefit from the opportunities. We can be prepared for the opportunities and threats before time. Risk monitoring and control is an ongoing activity, as I said, for the duration of the whole program. Risk monitoring is also conducted to determine if program assumptions are still valid. What were the program assumptions? Program assumptions are placeholder data which we assumed to be true in place of missing data. We did not know a specific detail, and we assumed that most likely this should be like this, and we planned around that assumption, but that assumption may prove wrong at any time. Therefore, all assumptions are prospective risks, and we have to keep watching the assumptions and see if that assumption has proved wrong or right. If it has already proven wrong, then the right data which has now become available must become part of the main plan. Assumption must be removed. And if that has not happened, then we must reassess the assumptions throughout the program, as if we can keep improving our assumptions over time. Assessed risk has changed from its prior state with analysis of trends. We did have an analysis of the risk. We did have everything calculated about the risk, but it is a dynamic world. We are living in a dynamic environment, and in that dynamic environment, the parameters of risk, which are the probability and amount at stake, both could change, or either one of it could change. And if that does change, the whole analysis has to be redone. The trends have to be re-established. Proper risk management policies and procedures are being followed. This has to be seen in monitoring and control, and cost or scheduled contingency reserves are modified in line with the risks of the program. So we do not fix the contingencies once for all, but we keep watching them, and we keep improving and amending and updating them. The key output of this activity is timely execution of risk response when a risk event occurs, monitoring the effects of the response with further action if required. All the lessons learned must be properly documented and the risk register should finally be updated for the record, because now the risks must have finished. Next, we move on to the second last area, and that is the schedule. And in schedule management, program schedule management activity determines the order and timing of the components needed to produce the program benefits. So this directly comes out of the program roadmap we created. Roadmap did give us uh, a semblance of our schedule, but this is more detailed in nature. This exactly specifies exactly when a component will start and when a component will finish, what are the dependencies of the component. So here we are more concerned about the layout of the various components within the program. Then we estimate the amount of time required to accomplish each one of those components, identifies significant milestones during the performance of the program, and document the outcome. Naturally, the program activities will be included in the program schedule. But as far as the components are concerned, we will include the components but not their further detail. At most, you can go down in a schedule of a program is one level deep into a component. If you show a component in your schedule, you can show the various phases of that component. They can be shown in the program schedule. Otherwise, further details are not required, because those further details are the responsibility of the component itself, and that will be shown in component schedule. Moreover, we also do not want the components to be completely micromanaged by the program manager. We want to give the independence to the component managers, the project managers, as if they can control their own schedule, they can develop their own schedule. So they will have their own WBS, their own schedule and everything. But at program level, we want to have a high level schedule for the whole program, which will include the program activities and the components and a level deeper into a component. That could be the phases. It includes determining the order in which the individual components are to be implemented, the roadmap for the program, and the milestones to be measured to keep the overall program on track and within the defined constraints. Typically, a program schedule is developed interactively with the components. Naturally, when the components will create their schedules, those schedules could be summarized into the program schedule, and program schedule could keep building as the component schedules are being created. Program components are comprised of both program unique activities, that is what I call program activities, which are responsible for benefit unification, and the projects that will deliver the primary program scope. Often a high-level program master schedule that lays out the benefits and major outputs from each of the components is developed early in the program, and that was the roadmap. Individual component project managers build detailed schedules for their projects by themselves. Once the component schedules are developed, the program master schedule may need updating. Throughout the program, there is interplay between the program and component schedule. Anything changing in the component schedule, we will see, does it impact the program master schedule? If it does, then we have to change the program master schedule as well. Interdependencies between the program components, key component milestones from projects, and non-project component milestones are all tracked at the program level to assess whether or not the program is on track to deliver the program benefits as agreed upon and approved by the stakeholders. So main concern of the program is the delivery of the benefits, and that could only be possible if the program components are properly managed. Program components are interdependent on each other. Those interdependencies are managed. This is just like sequencing the activities of a project. So we are trying to develop a sequence between the program components. Key component milestones from each project must be managed and controlled at the schedule level. Even there are certain non-project component milestones which are managed here, and these are those milestones which are the milestones of program activities. They are all tracked at the program level. While project managers concentrate on managing their project deliverables to a baseline schedule, program manager concentrate on coordinating all the component schedules within the program and integrating them to ensure that the program itself completes on schedule. You see, program does have a schedule also, and if the components are working towards meeting their schedule goal, the program also is working towards the same objective, though the duration of the program is much larger than the components. Rather than manage the details of any single project component, which is not the job of the program manager, the program manager concentrates on the integration of each component project into the program master schedule. That is your sole purpose. You have to look at the integration, interdependencies of those components and on timely delivery of the program level components. If a program level component is not delivering on time, your program schedule is affected. Why that component is not delivering on time, that project manager or component manager should be answerable for that. He is responsible for managing his own schedule. So he would report to the program manager why and how that he is unable to meet the schedule. And if there is any change, that change has to be portrayed at the program level. The dependencies among the various components have a significant impact on the overall schedule. Late completion of one component may impact other dependent components or integration activities. I think this is just a repetition of what we already understand, that the components will impact each other if they are dependent on one another. It is just like sequencing. Early completion of a component may also present a program schedule challenge. If a component has completed early, then can we benefit from this early completion, or it is a further challenge requiring the program manager to address and resolve the gap between expected and actual completion of the component as well as its impact on other components. You have to see if it is possible to start the subsequent component, the successor component. If the predecessor has completed early, should we and can we do that, or may present an opportunity for early starts on other components that may lead to early benefit delivery or enhanced benefit delivery. So if there is a benefit to be taken out, enhanced benefit to be taken out by early completion of one of the components, we must take advantage of that. We must not, lose that time. A component has completed early, and because it has done its job early, it is relaxing. We are wasting the time in between. We must amend the plan. We must update the plan accordingly. The master schedule should be updated to show the early completion and enhanced benefit delivery. Then we have the activities. There are only two activities here as far as the schedule management of the program is concerned, and this is in definition, in planning. Definition, you understand definition, program definition means initiation and planning. In planning, we have the project program schedule planning, and in benefit delivery which actually represents execution and monitoring and control, we have only one process, and that is program scheduling and control. So essentially, this is in monitoring and control. These activities and processes interact with program management supporting processes and activities throughout the duration of the program, and with activities and processes at the component level as described in PMBOK guide. So all the other processes we have, supporting processes we have studied, which you want to call knowledge areas. So this schedule must be coordinated with all other supporting processes or oblique knowledge areas, and it should also coordinate with the components, because the components are being dealt by PMBOK, whereas the program is being dealt according to the standard for schedule management. Standard for program management, sorry. In program schedule planning begins with the scope management plan. So you must have the scope management plan and the program work breakdown structure, whereby the program components that produce the program benefits are identified. So the scope of the program is actually captured in scope management. And we have a WBS at program level and the scope statement at program level, scope management plan at program level. Abiding by that, we will develop the schedule. Meaning what? That the program WBS will be instrumental in developing the program master schedule. The major program level milestones and the order in which those components should be delivered, this is determined. And the initial program master schedule is often created before the detailed schedules of individual components are available. So how do we work here? Looking at the program work breakdown structure, you will initially create a program master schedule, which will generally outlay when and how and in what sequence various components and program activities will be done. Then you start planning the component schedules, and then the component schedules give their feedback to the master schedule, which is amended and updated according to the component schedules. So the first thing, the initial program schedule is created before the components start working on their schedule, and later it is amended based on that. The program's delivery date and major milestones are developed using the program roadmap, which we already have, and the program charter. Program master schedule is the top level program document that defines the individual component schedules and dependencies between the program components, individual projects and program level activities required to achieve the program goal. It should include those component milestones that represent an output to the program or share interdependency with other components. So the program master schedule should also include activities that are unique to the program, including but not limited to the activities related to stakeholder engagement, program level risk mitigation, and program level reviews. It is not only the work of the program we are dealing with all the supporting components also. So activities related to risk, activities related to stakeholder engagement, and all other supporting areas must also be completely encompassed in this program master schedule. Program master schedule determines the timing of individual components, enables the program manager to determine when benefits will be delivered by the program, and identifies external dependencies to the program. So this will set the expectations right. If we can have these dates available, if we can have these expectations set beforehand, then we would be able to set our expectations rightly when a certain activity or a component would happen, when the benefit would be realized from that, and so on and so forth. First draft of program master schedule, as we talked about earlier, often only identifies the order and the start and end date of every component. Later, it may be enriched with more intermediate component results as the component schedules are developed. This is exactly what I said before. Once the high-level program master schedule is determined, the dates for each individual component are identified and used to develop the component schedules. These dates act as a constraint at the component level. If a component has multiple deliverables upon which other components rely, those deliverables and interdependencies should be reflected in the overall program master schedule, because interdependencies are important to us. Schedule principles outlined in the PMBOK guide should also be applied to the program master schedule. Maintaining a logic-based program network diagram and monitoring the critical path for components with dependencies is essential to effectively manage uh, program master schedule while focusing on benefit realization based on deliverables along the critical path. So all what we have studied in PMBOK, how to develop a network diagram, how to do the critical path analysis, and all those tools we have used in the schedule, in the development of a project schedule, are applied here also. So you just can't say that the critical path is only in the project schedule. It is also in the program schedule. If you look at this picture, this diagram, just come in front of you. Are you able to see this? No, not yet. Huh? Yes. Now this is a diagram. This provides a notional overview of the program delivering benefits through projects and components. You see on top you can see the strategic objective. It starts with the program definition. In program definition, we have the program formulation and the program preparation. While the program definition is still on, we have already started working on the program benefit delivery. So program definition will continue while we will start the program benefit delivery, but program benefit delivery can start anytime after the program preparation has started. With the program benefit delivery, the first component planning and authorization will start from here. And this component planning and authorization means all the component planning and authorization, and you may start with one component and then another component and another component. So during the program benefit delivery, various components will be planned and authorized over a period of time. As soon as the first component is planned and authorized, we can start the execution of that component. So the component oversight and integration will start immediately, while the component planning and authorization of the next component is still going on. The first component would be in execution. Right. So while the other components are in execution, the first component might have completed, and that is the time when the component transition and closure will start. This is the first component. While you can see, while this first component is being transitioned and closed, there still are other components which are still being planned and authorized. So this is overlapping. Component planning and authorization, component oversight and integration, component transition and closure. So they will overlap for a considerable period of time. And you see, benefit delivery the program benefit delivery is extended to the program transition. The program closure will start, but the program benefit delivery will continue, and it will only be completed when the program has completely transitioned, and then we will start the program closeout process that would mark the end of the program. So it clearly shows the three program phases, life cycle phases: program definition, program benefit delivery, and program closure. And you see all the three phases are greatly overlapping. And not only that, the sub-phases of each phase are also overlapping. And that why they are overlapping is because there are various components, and while the one component is being planned, other might be in execution. While one is in execution, other might be in the transition and closure. So these overlaps actually represent those things. So as soon as the program benefit starts, we may start delivering the adaptive benefits from if they are to be delivered from the component level. And if we are aiming at the changes coming from the overall program transition and closeout that would be coming from the program closure. Right. So this diagram gives us a high-level picture of the program schedule management. In addition to producing the program master schedule, this activity normally creates a plan by which the schedule is managed throughout the duration of the program. This is the schedule management plan which becomes part of the program management plan. The program schedule management plan identifies the agreed upon sequence of component deliverables to facilitate effective planning of the individual component deliveries. You see, we understand from PMBOK that project management plan did compose of all the other management plans, which included scope and requirement and schedule management plan and cost management and everything. Similarly, the program management plan would consist of the schedule management plan, the cost management plan, and all the supporting areas management plans. It provides the program team, stakeholders, with the plan on how the program is going to be managed throughout the duration of the program and establishes a common set of standards to be applied across all components. Program may establish schedule standards that apply to all program components. So, schedule management plan is basically required for this very purpose, that it gives you the guideline and the standard for subsequent work. These scheduling standards may be included in the program schedule management plan. It is a living document and provides the program manager with a mechanism to identify risks and escalate component issues that may affect the program goals. Program schedule risk inputs are identified as part of the program master schedule development. I hope you understand that risk has a very, very important role to play in schedule. Even when we develop the schedule, we do a lot of simulations and risk analysis. PERT, program evaluation and review technique, is basically a mechanism to build in the risk into the schedule. Moreover, we run the Monte Carlo analysis based on that PERT analysis. So therefore, schedule risk is risk is closely associated with schedule, and schedule risk is inputs are identified as part of the program master schedule development. These risks may be a result of component dependencies within the schedule or on external factors. Maybe the component which is predecessor to this component might have sent this risk to us, or it may be due to the external factors identified as a result of the agreed program schedule management plan. The program roadmap should periodically be assessed and updated to ensure alignment between the program roadmap and the program master schedule. The program roadmap you created earlier should always be updated in accordance with the master schedule. If you are changing things during the course of the program and the master schedule is amended, the roadmap may not remain valid and therefore must be updated accordingly. Changes in the program master schedule might require changes to the roadmap, and changes in the roadmap should be reflected in the master schedule. So this works both ways. Outputs of this activity, just a minute. Okay. So the outputs of this activity are the program schedule management plan, the schedule standards, master schedule, any inputs you may be giving to the program risk register, and updates to the program roadmap. This is all what we discussed in the program schedule planning. So you see, as compared to the project management, project schedule management, Here the difference is that all the processes shown in planning are now encapsulated into one process here named as program schedule planning. So this is much simpler as compared to the project management. But as far as the control is concerned, we have our program schedule control. And program schedule control is the activity of ensuring program procedures, the required capabilities and benefits on time. This activity includes tracking and monitoring the start and finish of all high-level components and program activities and milestones against the program master schedule planned timelines, updating the program master schedule and directing changes to individual project schedules is required to maintain an accurate and up-to-date program master schedule. So any changes to the schedule, and by schedule, program schedule, I mean uh, the component interdependencies which we created, the master schedule. Only in the master schedule will be monitored, and if any change is there, we have to accommodate it, we have to amend the master schedule according to that after a proper change request. Program schedule monitoring and control works closely with other program activities to identify variances to the schedule and directs corrective actions when necessary and as described in program execution management. Successful program management is dependent upon the alignment of program scope with cost and schedule. So scope, time and cost, these three things have to remain aligned, and they are dependent on each other. So if there is a change in schedule, you must see its impact on scope and cost of the program, and vice versa. Schedule control involves identifying not only slippages but also opportunities and should be used for proper risk management. Program schedule risks should be tracked as part of the risk management activity. Now, the program master schedule should also be reviewed to assess the impact of component level changes. As we discussed earlier, the components are running their own schedule, and they may work on schedule or they may be off schedule. So whatever is the impact of a component's performance on schedule is portrayed on the master schedule also. We have to review those impacts, and if there is a change which is to be considered to be included in the master schedule, program master schedule, it must be included. There may be a need to accelerate or decelerate components within the schedule to achieve program goals. If you feel a component is moving slower, you may advise that component to work faster as if to meet the deadline. And thus, program schedule will not be impacted. But if a component has already delayed, then the effect of that should be translated on other components as well as on the master schedule. Identification of both slippages and early deliveries are necessary as part of the overall program management function. Whether a component is completed earlier or later, both ways it is a change. So it should be handled through a change request, and its impact should be built onto the program master schedule. Identification of early deliveries may provide opportunities for program acceleration. So we can benefit more if something is finished earlier. Approval of deviation to the component schedule may be necessary. So it is now referring to the change request. To realize program benefits as a result of component performance deviation. Due to the complex nature and duration of programs, the program master schedule may need to be updated to include new components or remove components as a result of accepted change requests to meet evolving program goals. So your program goals are alive. They are evolving throughout the period of the program. And any change request may tend to amount to deletion of a component, removal of a component, or even addition or inclusion of a new component. The program roadmap should be assessed for potential revision when there is significant change in program master schedule. Program schedule monitor and control. Program master schedule include updates to the program master schedule, updates to the program roadmap, and identification of any schedule risk as output to the activity. So the outputs are program schedule, master schedule is updated, risk register is updated, and the program roadmap is also updated. So these are the outputs of schedule control, and these are the two processes of program schedule management we discussed. Last but not the least is the program scope management. I would rather say program scope management should have been discussed earlier. The very first area should have been this. But because this standard discusses them in alphabetical order, so scope comes last. So it doesn't really matter how it is discussed, but you understand what comes first and what comes later. Program scope defines the work required to deliver a benefit like major product, service or result with specified features and functions at the program level. Program scope management includes all of the activities involved in planning and managing the program scope. The definition of scope is exactly the same as in the project management. There we used to call it the project scope, and now here we are calling it the program scope. So all the work which is to be done within a program is within the scope of the program. Anything which does not satisfy the scope of the program must not be included as an activity or a work within the program. Scope management aligns the program scope with the program's goals and objectives. It is directly linked with the goals and objectives and ultimately with the program strategy. It includes work decomposition into deliverable component products designed to deliver the associated benefits. So the WBS will come into being here due to decomposition. The scope definition activity starts with a program charter that outlines the program goal and objectives, program scope statement, and the benefit realization plan. This input can be obtained from program sponsors or stakeholders through the portfolio management or stakeholder alignment activities. So scope is greatly, important to realize that it has to be aligned with the program goals and objectives, which in return are aligned with the program strategy, and therefore we are responsible for the benefit realization. So scope should be set in such a way, program scope statement is established in such a way, and the program benefit realization plan is developed according to the scope. The objective of program scope management is to develop a detailed program scope statement, break down structure of the work into deliverables, components, and develop a plan for managing the scope throughout the program. So scope management activities, there are two activities here again, just like schedule. In definition, we have scope planning, and in benefit delivery, we have the scope control. These activities and processes interact with program management supporting processes as we discussed earlier. All other supporting processes would interact with the same scope throughout the duration of the program and with activities and processes at the component level as described in the PMI. So scope is also very similar to the project scope, but the only difference is it is a program scope and it looks at the component level. At the start of the program manager ensures that the context and framework of the program are properly defined, assessed, and documented in the form of a program scope statement. And what do we understand by a program scope statement? That it will give us the the scope of the benefit delivery and scope of the program. If we can define all the benefits, then all the benefits within the scope of the program are known, and when they are known, I can develop the scope of the program that will include all the activities and components which are necessary to be done to achieve those benefits. Program stakeholders should verify and approve the program scope statement, which established the direction taken and identifies the essential aspects that will be accomplished. And based on this scope statement, we will then be able to create the program work breakdown structure. Program scope is typically described in the form of expected benefits, but may also be described as user stories or scenarios depending on the type of program. I hope some of you might be aware about the concept of user stories or scenarios, especially those of you who are working on agile methodologies would know that the requirements of a project or program are defined as user stories in agile. They create certain scenarios, and those scenarios have to be fulfilled. These actually represent the expected benefits. So to be simple, we want to outline all the expected benefits in the scope. And based on that, we then be able to define what all work is required to be done to meet those expected benefits. Program scope encompasses all benefits, products and services to be delivered by the program, which are reflected in the form of a program work breakdown structure. So work breakdown structure is a breakdown of the scope, basically. Is a deliverable-oriented hierarchical decomposition encompassing the total scope of the program, and it includes the deliverables to be produced by the constituent components. Elements not in program work breakdown structure are outside the scope of the program. Anything which is not included in WBS is not in the program. Program WBS includes but is not limited to the program management artifacts, plans, procedures, standards, processes, major program milestones, program management deliverables, and program management office support deliverables. All these things are included in the WBS. Program WBS provides an overview of the program and shows how each component contributes to the objectives of the program. This is necessary. Each component shown in the WBS must have some contribution to the overall scope of the program. Meaning what? Every component is fulfilling a part of that bigger scope. And if it is not, then that component should not be there. If it is not contributing to the overall scope of the program, that component or that work should be thrown out of the program. So we decomposition stops at the level of control required by the program manager. This is important to understand. We cannot keep breaking it down to unlimited infinite levels. We just want to break it down to that level at which program manager can comfortably exercise his control over the program. We don't want to give him the project activities and things even beyond that. We don't want to do that. We don't want to micromanage. Program manager wants to manage the things down to the component level. So generally program is breakdown is down to the component level, or at most one level deeper than the component, because program manager is responsible for authorizing each phase of each component. So he will be governing the project. Therefore, program manager would like to control the permissions for each stage or each phase within each component. That explicitly means that the decomposition should go down not more than the phases of the components or the projects. Program WBS serves as the framework for developing the program schedule and defines the program manager's management control points. It is an essential tool for building realistic schedules, developing cost estimates, and organizing the work. It also provides a framework for reporting, tracking, and controlling, which will later be used in program scope control. Program level deliverables should focus on those activities associated with stakeholder engagement, program level management, as opposed to management within its component projects. Again, no micromanagement. We do not want to manage the activities within our components or projects. Component oversight and integration, yes, we will do that, but we will not manage the components by ourselves. Program scope includes scope that is decomposed and allocated into component projects. Care should be taken to avoid decomposing component level scope into details that overlap the project manager's responsibility. That is important. Again, no micromanagement. Let project manager do his job. Let him break his component down to the level he wants to exercise control. And you break your program breakdown to the level you want to exercise control. You want to exercise control down to the component phases, not more than that. Project manager wants to go down to the work package level. Once the scope is developed, a plan for managing, documenting, and communicating scope changes should be developed during the program definition phase. So the outputs would be the scope statement, the scope management plan, and the program WBS. That takes us to the last process, and that is the program scope control. It is important for the program manager to address and control scope as the program develops in order to ensure successful completion. So if we can ensure that the scope we established in planning is being achieved as per the plan, then our program is going towards success. And if it is not, if there is a variation, then those scope changes that have significant impact on the component and or the program may originate from stakeholders. So changes could come from stakeholders, components within the program, previously identified requirements, or architecture issues, and our external sources. So these are the situations where the scope is to be controlled. A change management activity should be established to administer scope change. How the changes to the scope can be brought, that should be the part of the scope management plan. This activity should establish program policies and procedures that include an approach to capturing change requests, evaluating them, determining their disposition, communicating a decision to impacted stakeholders, and documenting the change request and supporting details, and finally authorizing the funding and the work. This is the process of change request. When change request is accepted and approved, the program management plan and program scope statement are accordingly updated. Program manager is responsible for determining which components of the program are affected when a program scope change is requested and should update the program work breakdown structure accordingly. So if there are changes to the components, the whole thing will impact upwards the program work breakdown structure, so that can be amended, and accordingly any changes at any level to any document due to these changes should be also implemented. In very large programs, the number of components affected may be substantial and difficult to assess. Program managers should restrict their activities to manage scope only to the allocated level for component projects and should avoid controlling component projects so that has been further decomposed by the project manager. So again and again we are saying Do not interfere into the job of the project manager. Give him his independence. Do your job, guide the project manager, and that's it. Scope management within a component project should follow the activities defined in PMBOK guide. So the outputs of scope control would be an updated program scope statement, decomposition of the requests with documentation of the rationale for the decision, an updated program work breakdown structure, and this is what the scope control will deliver. So this concludes all the supporting processes, which were 9, uh, and those 9 correspond with the knowledge areas of PMBOK, except for stakeholder, because stakeholder engagement is by itself a separate domain, and all of these 9 supporting areas are part of program lifecycle domain, and program lifecycle domain was one of the 5 domains. And we have studied all the 5 domains. We have studied the life cycle domain and its 9 supporting areas in detail. So this is what our the whole syllabus looks like. I just want to show you one more thing, and that is the annexes which are available at the end of the standard for scheduling management, program management. You can go through those the appendix by yourself, but I will just show you the slides as if you are clear what they are. Let me project it to you. Sorry. Okay. There is an appendix X3. X3 appendix deals with the various program types. And I feel this is important to note what are the different program types. So this appendix is divided into 3 parts. One is 3.1. 3 is deals with the program types, overview, categorization of programs, and program management performance. Then is the program management competencies, which include the how a successful program manager can behave and how the role delineation study is conducted, and then what are the different artifacts. So in overview, this gives you that the standard describes how organizational strategy establishes the foundation for portfolio and program. So you see, this standard is important because this takes us beyond the concept of project management and it paves the way for portfolio management. Naturally, it defines the program management in detail, but it paves the way for portfolio management. Program management enables the centralized coordinated management of program components as we know it, and the purpose is to achieve a set of strategic objectives and benefits. Programs are initiated from the portfolio and provide the critically important linkage between the organization's strategic goals and component initiatives. So this is all we have already studied, the similar terms, but this is just the overview why we need to have the program types. Let us straight away jump to the categorizations. There are 3 types of programs: strategic program, compliance programs, and emergent programs. Let us look at the definition. Strategic programs are initiated as a result of organizational strategic planning process, typically through the portfolio management function, where you are producing a new product or service to launch according to the organizational redesign. These initiatives typically support the organizational strategic goals and objectives and enable the organization's vision and mission. So this is the traditional strategic programs which we have been studying. our focus had been mostly on the strategic programs. In whole of this book, the standard talks more about strategic programs. What are the compliance programs? These are initiated as a result of some kind of legislation, regulation, or contractual obligation. This may not directly be benefiting our strategy. Like there is new international banking regulation and a program is to be implemented to enforce that. There might be some long-term strategic benefit, but basically we are doing that to remain in compliance with the international laws. So there could be fuel emission standards, data privacy, security requirement. These are various examples of compliance programs. These initiatives are typically not strategic in nature, but must be performed by the organization. They are an obligation to you. You have to do it. Therefore, you're doing these kinds of programs. These are called compliance programs. Then we have got emergent programs. They are initiated as a result of the organization recognizing that disparate initiatives are related through a common outcome, capability, strategic objective, or delivery of a collective set of benefits. What does that mean? That means you are already running certain projects which you now feel that they can be put together in form of a program and they can start yielding some benefits. So we did not strategically plan and organize this program right from the outset, but we converted the existing projects into a program, like a process improvement program integrated with the complementary software development initiative. These initiatives may be grouped together if the organization determines that they could benefit by managing them as a program. But you must be rest assured that these must be related, inter-coordinated projects. Only then they will be called programs. So we have three types: strategic, which are planned thoroughly based on a strategy; compliance programs, which are mandatory to us, we have to comply and we have to do them. They may not be strategic in nature; and emergent programs, which we convert the existing projects and interrelate them in such a way that they start yielding certain benefits. These are called the emergent programs. As described throughout the standard of program management, programs that are aligned with an organization's strategy are launched from portfolio management as a result of organization's strategic planning process. Initial program management activities are performed across all performance domains from inception. So let me move on to the categorization. Okay. Compliance programs. Okay. Compliance programs can also be launched from the portfolio management function, but are seldom the result of organization's strategic planning process. So compliance programs could be initiated by portfolio, but they are actually not serving any strategic purpose. Organization is typically required to meet specific regulatory requirement, and therefore we are doing these compliance programs. Initial program management activities are typically performed across all performance domains from inception, although not to the depth of strategic program. We are not focusing strategy, therefore it is not as deep as a strategic program. Organizations typically to perform compliance programs whether or not there is a tangible return on investment or strategic benefit. So compliance programs are not for profit, not for direct benefit. They are just to be complied. Independent projects could be well underway before commonalities or shared attributes are identified and an emergent program is recognized. This is just explaining the emergent program, that the projects were already independently existing. Since an emergent program is recognized and initiated later in the program life cycle, the initial program management activities have typically not been completed. Projects were already existing. So we did not go through the whole cycle of program management activities, but we, on emergent basis, we recognized these projects and we coordinated them and converted them into a program. It is important to perform the initial program management activities once the emergent program has been identified. As soon as you identify an emergent program, you have to go through the chartering and mandate and all that process quickly. Rest, I think nothing is important here. Program performance, regardless of how the program is initiated, it is important to perform the program definition and initiative activities, including business case, benefit realization plan. All these documents will have to be created no matter it is an emergent program or what. It is also important to integrate and control the interdependencies among the components across the program management performance domains. Through these program management performance domains, the program manager oversees the program component interdependencies and helps to determine the optimal approach for managing them. Program management competencies, we have got naturally we need to have precisely defining the skills required for an effective program manager. And remember, the skills required by program manager are inherently different from the project manager. Although they build on the experience and the skills of the project manager, but now once you become a program manager, you have completely different targets to achieve. The required expertise depends to a large degree on the proficiencies required to manage the complexity and uncertainty. You see, in programs, the uncertainty has increased, complexity has increased. So a person with a mindset of a project manager cannot be an effective program manager until and unless he is ready to deal with complexity and uncertainty. The skills required may differ significantly among programs of different types. For program to program, the skills might be different, or even among programs of similar types facing dissimilar challenges. If the purposes are different, even the programs are similar, the experience required, the skills required would vary between one program and another. Often exhibiting right program management skills can be traced to the program manager's ability to acquire appropriate knowledge. Naturally, as we said, every program is different and needs a different skill set. Therefore, a program manager should be highly flexible as to adopt himself to all new environment. Whatever the environment of the program is, whatever of the structure of the program is, whatever the technical skills of that program is, program manager has to quickly learn them and adopt to that. Program areas of focus, experiences in managing the issues inherent to that area, and leadership in management expertise required to be effective within the program environment. These are specific skills for specific programs. A successful program manager uses his knowledge, experience, and leadership effectively to align the program approach with the organization strategy. This is your first goal. Improve the delivery of program benefit. This is your second goal. Enhance collaboration with stakeholder and governance board. It is your third goal. And manage the program life cycle. These are the four elementary jobs to be done by a successful program manager. In general, this requires the program manager to exhibit certain competencies, including, now what are the competencies? Manage detail while taking a holistic, benefit-focused view of the program. He looks at the things from top down. He must take a holistic view of the whole thing rather than going into the details. So program manager must be, intelligent enough to conceive things sitting right on top. Then leveraging a strong working knowledge of the principles and processes of both program and project management. Generally, this person should know program and project management very well. That is exactly why PgMP needs experience both in program as well as in project management. Interact seamlessly and collaboratively with governance boards and other executive stakeholders. Establish productive and collaborative relationship with team members and their organizational stakeholders. Leveraging their own technical knowledge and experience to provide perspectives that support the understanding and management of program uncertainty ambiguity, and complexity. And finally, facilitate understanding through the use of exceptionally strong communication skills. Program manager must have exceptionally strong communication skills. It is much more than what a project manager can have. So if you can demonstrate these capabilities within the context of the particular program or organization may provide unique challenges. Program that is complex because of technical design issues may require a program manager with an engineering or technical background. Program that is complex because of many hundreds of thousands of interconnected activities, that is a complexity. It may require the program manager with extensive background and experience as project management. Given the often complex and dynamic nature of programs, it is understandable that professional program manager often enter the field from a technical discipline closely related to their program or from the project management field. So he does have a program manager, a person who is promoted to the program manager level must have had some experience of project management and some experience of the technology in which he specializes. So rest everything we already know that if you do not have any of these knowledge, then you might attend some master's or PhD program, or even you can do PgMP as you are aiming to do, and whatever path you take, you basically are trying to enhance your skills. And we already talked about the role delineation study, how PMI conducts the role delineation study from the industry and establishes what skills a program manager requires from the industry perspective. So that's all. I am done with the whole syllabus. So any comments or questions?
अल्हम्दुलिल्लाह सर।
ऐसा है कि जी जो कोई लाजमी बात है, ये तो बहुत सी चीजें मैं ज्यादा बोलता रहा, आप लोग बहुत ज्यादा सुनते भी रहे। जब आप ये चीजें पढ़ेंगे और आपको उधर कुछ डाउट्स क्रिएट होंगे तो लिखते जाइए, और किसी दिन हम सब कोऑर्डिनेट करके एक दफा बैठ जाएंगे और आप फिर क्वेश्चंस कर लीजिएगा सारे, और हम मिल के डिस्कस करेंगे। ये नहीं कि मैं आंसर सिर्फ दूंगा, बल्कि आप सब ने पढ़ा होगा तो आप अपना अपना ओपिनियन रखते होंगे, तो हम एक डिस्कशन करेंगे। तो वो मुझे डेट वगैरह आप लोग म्यूचुअली एग्री करके बता दीजिएगा, और उसके हिसाब से हम फिर वो सेशन एक कर लेंगे। और
जी ठीक है सर।
अभी तो कोई चीज नहीं है जी, कोई जो बात करने वाली हो।
सर इसका जो है ना ये
जी जी
सर्टिफिकेट वगैरह मिल सकता है?
जी मिल सकता है,
ये जो हमने ये अटेंड किया है इसका
जी बिल्कुल बिल्कुल मिल जाएगा, बिल्कुल मिल
इधर
जाएगा।
हमारा बहुत काम आएगा।
नहीं नहीं बिल्कुल मिल जाएगा।
तो सर मैंने एप्लीकेशन स्टार्ट किया हुआ है।
ओके
एक्सपीरियंस, ये एक्सपीरियंस लिखने का थोड़ा सा मसला है।
नहीं, एक बात आप
डोमेन में किस तरह लिखना है?
PGMP की एप्लीकेशन के अंदर इस सर्टिफिकेट का कोई रोल नहीं है, ना ही वो आपसे मांगेंगे।
जी जी
इसमें 35 आवर्स की ट्रेनिंग रिक्वायर्ड नहीं, तो ये आपसे नहीं मांगेंगे। वैसे अगर आपको अपने जॉब में ये सर्टिफिकेट दिखा के ये बताना है कि आपको प्रोग्राम मैनेजमेंट आती है और वो कोई ऐसी बात है, तो वो हम आपको सर्टिफिकेट प्रोवाइड कर देंगे। और आप चाहें तो मैं इलेक्ट्रॉनिकली भी आपको भेज सकता हूँ। अगर हार्ड कॉपी चाहिए तो वो जरा थोड़ा सा उसका करना पड़ेगा, भेजना पड़ेगा आपको।
सॉफ्ट कॉपी भी सही है सर, वैसे भी सऊदी में तो।
ओके, दूसरी चीज ये है।
अच्छा सर, ये एप्लीकेशन मैंने स्टार्ट किया हुआ है, ये इसमें ये वो चाहिए थोड़ा सा, अगर आप लिख के दे रहे थे किस तरह इसको जो है ना सैंपल वगैरह, ये
ऐसा है
डोमेन्स में जो जिस तरह आपने
जी
किया था।
मैं आपको ये कहता हूँ कि आप यूं कीजिए कि आप लोग अपनी PMI की वेबसाइट पे जाके अपनी एप्लीकेशन को भरना शुरू करें, और जैसे भरी जाती है भरें, और उसको क्या कहते हैं सबमिट नहीं करना आपने भी। जब आप समझेंगे कि आपको भी चीजें समझ नहीं आ रही, उसको ब्लैंक छोड़ दें। उसके बाद आप उसकी जो प्रिंट होता है या जो उसका PDF फॉर्मेट है वो मुझे भेज दीजिएगा। तो उसमें मैं फिर आपको चेक करके कमेंट कर दूंगा कि इसमें कोई गलती तो नहीं है या कहाँ पे क्या लिखना चाहिए, इस तरह से वो बेहतर हो जाएगा।
ठीक है सर, मैं सर शुरू किया हुआ है और ये एक्सपीरियंस भी पहुंचा हूँ। यहाँ पर ये एक्सपीरियंस लिखना होता है प्रोजेक्ट मैनेजर का, और PgMP का जो एक्सपीरियंस है वो लिखना होता है।
4 साल का एक्सपीरियंस
उसकी
आपने,
सही।
4 साल का एक्सपीरियंस लिखना है,
जी
4
जी
साल का प्रोग्राम का, 4 साल का
जी।
प्रोजेक्ट का, और नॉन ओवरलैपिंग होगा। और आप यूं करें कि अभी से पिछले 4 साल जो हैं वो प्रोग्राम दिखा दें, और उससे पीछे आप 4 साल के प्रोजेक्ट दिखा दें।
जी।
तो ये 8
इसमें
साल
ये मुख्तलिफ डोमेन में हमने शो करना होता है कि कितने आवर्स जो है ना हमने
जी
इस
जी,
डोमेन में कैसे किया और क्या क्या किया,
हाँ,
वो लिखना मुश्किल है सर।
कोई मुश्किल नहीं है।
अगर
आप
आप
ये करना
लिख
है,
के देने।
एक एक प्रोग्राम को लेते जाएं, उस प्रोग्राम का नाम लिखें, जैसे लिखते पीएमपी में जैसे लिखा था, प्रोग्राम का नाम लिखें, उसके अपने बॉस का अता
जी
पता
जी
फोन नंबर वो सारा मांगेगा आपसे। उसके बाद पूछेगा आपने इस प्रोग्राम में किया क्या। यहाँ पे इस बात के ऊपर फोकस रखें कि आपने जो बातें अभी आपको बताई हैं, आपने स्ट्रेटेजिक ऑब्जेक्टिव्स, बेनिफिट डिलीवरी, कंपोनेंट्स, इन बातों के ऊपर फोकस करना है। आपको ये बताना पड़ेगा कि इस प्रोग्राम में कितने प्रोजेक्ट थे, प्रोग्राम का क्या ऑब्जेक्टिव था, प्रोजेक्ट्स ने क्या क्या डिलीवर करना था, उनके बेनिफिट्स क्या थे, और आपने ये काम कैसे किया। जनरली आसान लफ्जों में आपको ये बात तो बतानी पड़ेगी ना। तो ये तो आप कम से कम एक एक फिक्रा लिख सकते हैं ना, कि प्रोजेक्ट का नाम, प्रोग्राम का नाम क्या था, उसके ऑब्जेक्टिव क्या थे, और आपके प्रोजेक्ट कौन कौन से थे, और उन प्रोजेक्ट्स का क्या लिंक बनता है स्ट्रेटजी के साथ, ये प्रूव करना है। और थोड़ा सा ये लिखना है कि ये आपने सक्सेसफुली किया नहीं किया, क्या बेनिफिट अचीव हुए क्या नहीं हुए, क्या चेंजेस आई, इस तरह की बातचीत करके आपने उसको समराइज करना है। कोशिश करें, कोशिश करें एक दफा,
सर।
जब आप कुछ लिख लेंगे तो मेरे लिए चेक करना और उसे उसके ऊपर राय देना या उसको चेंज करना आसान हो जाएगा।
ये मतलब तैयारी के लिए जो है ना, ये जो स्लाइड्स है और ये जो जिंजर की किताब है, ये दो काफी है, इसके अलावा भी कोई चाहिए?
आ,
अभी काफी होगा जिस तरह
मेरा ख्याल है, मेरा ख्याल है ये वैसे काफी है, क्योंकि इसमें हमने वो कॉन्सेप्ट तो सारे डिस्कस कर लिए। लेकिन अगर आपके पास टाइम हो तो, ये अभी किसी ने मुझसे मांगा भी था कि कौन कौन सी किताब के बारे में पूछा था। मेरा ख्याल है
ये
कि
मैंने कहा था सर, ये
आपने कहा
जिन्हें उसके अलावा
ओके, वैसे तो ये काफी है, लेकिन मैं आपको एक दो बुक्स जो हैं, जो मटेरियल मैंने वहाँ वन ड्राइव पे रखा है, उसमें बुक्स हैं कि नहीं है, मैं देख लेता हूँ।
ये दो जिंजर का है।
पीएमपी मटेरियल, एक मिनट, ओके, जिंजर की किताब है, ओके, ठीक है। मेरे पास जो चंद किताबें हैं पढ़ी हुई ऑनलाइन, ये जो हैं क्या कहते हैं इसको, प्रोग्राम मैनेजमेंट से रिलेटेड कुछ जनरल बुक्स हैं, एग्जाम प्रेप की नहीं है, जनरल बुक्स हैं, वो मैं इसके अंदर रख देता हूँ। अगर आपके पास टाइम हो तो आप उनको रिव्यू कर लीजिएगा, कुछ कॉन्सेप्ट उससे देखे जा सकते हैं, ऐसी चीजें हो सकती हैं।
ठीक है सर, बहुत शुक्रिया सर।
मोस्ट वेलकम जी। चलें जी, शुड वी कॉल इट अ डे नाउ।
थैंक यू वेरी मच सर,
मुझे
थैंक यू वेरी मच।
व्हाट्सएप के ऊपर आप सबने कंसेंसस करके बताना है कब हम मिल रहे हैं नेक्स्ट टाइम। तो व्हाट्सएप ग्रुप
सर अभी तो छुट्टी मनाएंगे।
थैंक यू जी, थैंक यू वेरी मच, टेक केयर।
थैंक यू, अस्सलाम वालेकुम।
सर बहुत शुक्रिया, जज़ाकल्लाह खैर। अस्सलाम वालेकुम।